Stampers, thanks for joining me today. This is Michelle Zindorf, and I have a cozy little winter cabin for you today. This scene is just so cute, and it looks like it's really involved, but it's not like any of my projects. I'm going to take you through it step by step, and you're going to find out it's easy when you know the process. So we're going to be working on this card today, and we're going to be featuring the Woodland Scenery Stamp Set. And this is from the new holiday catalog for 2025 with Stampin' Up. Really cute scenery images, and it's got about everything that you need, trees and animals and this cute cabin. It even has the smoke for the chimney. So we're going to be using this stamp set, and we're going to start with our main panel. Now all the sizes for the panels are down below this video in the description, so just check those out there, along with all the links to the products that I use. That'll take you directly to my online store where you can pick them up. So we are going to be starting with the main panel, which is basic white, and this is 3 inches by 4.5. Pretty sure it's 3 inches. Yep, 3 inches by 4.5. So good little size panel here. And we're going to need a mask right off the bat with this. So I'm bringing out the 3x5 Post-it notes, and I'm just going to take one Post-it note here. And this is the sticky portion up here, and this is what I'm going to be tearing. So I'm going to just take the very edge off of this. We want to be careful not to take all the sticky off of our little Post-it note here. So I'm just going to make a little rough edge about halfway down the panel, and then I'm going to start making a little hill. So this is going to create this hill right here. Now I wanted it pretty flat up here, so I have some place to put my little cabin. So, and when you put it on, you can actually, tilt it if you want to add a little bit more of a hill. Let's see, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to cover up just shy of probably half here. So we have a good amount of snow down here to play with. And then I wanted this great big sky, like it's out in the open, so we can have a nice snowy sky going on. So that's where we're starting at. And I'm going to bring in some balmy blue ink and a blending brush. Move this over a little bit here. Now with the blending brush, I want to just do circular motions, and I'm going to leave some white spots. I want some movement in that sky. I don't want it just a solid color. So see how if you just move it around and do circles, you end up with these light areas and darker areas. Now that'd be a good summer day sky there. But I'm going to bring in some darker colors. So we're going to go next to Misty Moonlight. So that was our balmy blue. Let's bring in Misty Moonlight. I'm going to grab another blending brush for a darker color here. I love this Misty Moonlight color. It's such a great evening sky. So I'm just inking it up. I'm going to start with the top here, and I'm going to do that same circular motion here and there. Just make sure you're not covering up all of your lighter color. I want to make sure we see some of that balmy blue in there. And that gives you a little bit of a movement in your sky. See how that looks? It's like malted looking. And you can get darker, like in your Misty Moonlight areas if you want to get it. It really will make that balmy blue pop. Let's add just a little bit more there. You can kind of just tweak it. I kind of like to have a dark edge here along this Post-it note, so I'm just going to go along that edge there and get that nice and dark. And that's going to really make our snow pop. Okay, so we have that. So now let's see, let's get some trees in here. So in this Woodland Scenery stamp set, we have image that has 3 trees, and that's the one we're going to use. And we're going to use that Misty Moonlight ink. I wanted to keep this very simple in color. I didn't want, sometimes we get too carried away with color, and it's nice to repeat color, so that's why I'm doing my trees with Misty Moonlight. Now when I stamp these trees definitely have a bottom to it where it meets the ground. I am not stamping that on the panel. I'm stamping that part on my Post-it note. That way the trees look like they're coming out of the ground and won't be like hanging up there in the air. If you get them a little too low, they start looking like bushes, which is fine too. There we go. And if they're crooked, I don't worry about if trees are crooked because, you know, sometimes they're blowing in the wind or they just grow crooked. And that's just that. All right, so we have that going on. Okay, now I'm going to actually splatter some color here. Now you could make some dots with a white gel pen for in your sky for snow. There's a little stamp that has 3 little snowflakes. You could use that for snow and use some white ink. The white ink tends, when you have these colored skies, it tends to soak up that color and it becomes blue. So I'm going to use this Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White and a little number 0 paintbrush. This is just watercolor in a jar, and I got it from Amazon. And so I'm just going to dip my brush in here. I'm going to just tap it off a bit so I don't get big blobs. And then I'm just going to splatter it in my background here all over. And a little more. Get some really up here at the top. And I think that's all I want. Yeah, I think that's good. So when you get done with your brush, you'll want to rinse it out with water. It is watercolor, so you could give it a couple minutes if you are not ready to wash it out right at this moment. So I'm gonna put this up, put the lid on it so I don't knock it over, and then I'm going to set this aside to dry. Now, when you do that process of flipping that watercolor, make sure there's nothing important in the background here. I have a big whiteboard around my recording area, so I don't worry about messing anything up, but kind of be aware of that. Okay, so we're going to set that aside to dry for a moment, and meanwhile, we're going to bring in a little scrap piece of basic white cardstock. And we're going to stamp our little cabin. And I want to stamp our cabin with Early Espresso. And I wanted it to be brown instead of black, or I tried pecan pie, but it was a little too light for my taste. So I'm just going to stamp this on here. I love this stamp because it has all the little details in it. Isn't that cute? Now that's going to dry more brown. So there's our little cabin. And I'm going to fussy cut this out. I'm just going to grab some scissors here. Now when I fussy cut this out, I'm going to start with the roof, because I'm going to leave a bit of white above that roof. I'm not going up against the line. I'm leaving some white. And when I do that, it looks like I have white snow on the roof. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut around that. And cut this little piece off here. And see how I'm not going up against that roof. I'm leaving quite a bit. And that, when you put it up against that sky, is really going to pop and look like snow. Now everything else I'm going nice and close up against the image. Not worried about the little lines on the underneath or beside the cabin. There we go. So we have that in. Now I'm going to take this Post-it note off. There we have our white snow. Now you're going to keep that Post-it note. We're going to use it here in a bit. I'm going to add my little cabin up here, and I'm just going to place it right at kind of on the top of the hill. But I don't want it sitting right on top. I'm going to bring it down about 1/4 of an inch into the snow. And I'm just going to use some multi-purpose glue here to add it on. Now when I put glue on stuff, I'm kind of rubbing that glue around. I'm not putting big globs of it anywhere. That way I don't have anything squishing out. So you make up your mind where you want your little cabin to be. I think this is good. And I like these trees over here because they're in the background of this cabin. So we have that. Let's color in the cabin windows. And I have a light lemon lolly Stampin' Blend marker here. And I'm just going to color in that little window. Get a nice glow going. All right. And now we need our little smoke coming out of our chimney. Now I'm going to stamp this in Misty Moonlight. And there's a rounded portion that I believe is the top. So I'm kind of looking to make sure that I have that up on the up. And I'm not stamping my little smoke upside down. I better stand up to do this so I won't hit my mark. Okay. There we go. We got our smoke coming out of our chimney there. I wanted some white in it. So I'm going to bring it back out that P.H. Martin's, Dr. P.H. Martin bleed proof white here. And my little brush. This is a size 0 brush. It's a tiny brush. You don't want one really big. I'm kind of knocking off a good part of that ink off that watercolor off of my brush. And I'm just going to make a little swirl following that pattern in the image that I stamped. So I have some nice smoke going there. I think I like that. So there we have that. Now if you see a paw come reaching into my scene here, that is a willow. She is so excited about being here. We will get her off the table. Never fails. She likes when I get that wet watercolor going. It seems like that's when she wants to put her paw in stuff. Okay, she's a great companion, but she keeps me on my toes when I'm stamping. Okay, so we have our smoke going. Super cute, so easy. That can be done with a white gel pen too. And now let's work on putting in a hill. Now we have this little mask that we used earlier. Now I'm going to move this so my hill is not exactly like that one. So if I just put it like this, it's like repeating what we put at the top. So I'm going to tilt this so it doesn't look like it's repeating. Or you could rip a new mask. I just like to angle my Post-it note. I think I'm going to angle it just a little more here. There we go. Then I'm going to take some Balmy Blue. I got my Balmy Blue ink here. And a blending brush. And we're just going to add a little bit of that Balmy Blue, a little circular motion along that Post-it note edge to create a little hill look. You don't need much to create that hill. You don't want this real dark, you want it kind of light. And then when you remove your Post-it note, you got another hill. And then I'm just going to add some of this down here at the bottom as well. That gives that snow a real frosty look, doesn't it? That Balmy Blue on there. You can also use your Highland Heather if you want to change your sky color to like blue and purple. You could do your snow with your shadow in your snow, that Highland Heather, and it really looks frosty. Okay, I got another image here I want to put on. It's our little sled. Really cute that it's in here. I just have to make sure I'm going to be stamping this right side up. And again, I'm going to go to a color that we've already used, and I'm going to use Early Espresso for my little sled. Make sure I'm stamping it right. Do you ever do that? Have to make sure? That's me. I'm going to add it here on the ground. Super cute there. I love these little images. All right. So that was Early Espresso. I have a balmy blue marker here. Now, we got our little sled out here, and I want it to look like somebody has walked from the sled into the house. So I'm just going to use the tip of the brush, and I'm going to make just little, I'm going to use the side of the brush a little bit and just use small dots, like footprints. They're going up over this hill, and then they're going to continue on. Clear up to the door. Isn't that cute? Takes nothing to do that. So there's our little footprints trudging through the snow. And guess what? Our little scene is complete, and it came together so quickly. So there it is. Now we're going to start putting our project together here. The inside panel, I do want to do a little stamping on it. I'm not going to put a sentiment yet. I'm not sure what I want this to say. A lot of times I send out winter birthdays or thank yous, but it could very well be a Christmas card. It is entirely up to you what sentiment you put in yours. I'm going to leave mine blank for now, as I do most of the time. And I am going to add a little hill on the inside of my card here. Just going to use that same little Post-it note there, some balmy blue ink, and just make a little hill. Take that off. Can add some down here. Now I'm going to put this Post-it note right back on. I took it off before I stamped my trees. So let's stamp our trees here. And I'm going to stamp those like I did on the front of the card. We're going to carry our little design on the inside, so I'm just going to use Misty Moonlight and stamp my little trees here. Got quite the hill going on. So there's my little trees for the inside. And you can do that on your envelope as well. So simple and goes really quick to do that. So we have that done. All right. So that's the inside of my card. This is my card base. It's Early Espresso. I wanted it to go along with our cabin. See, our cabin now is brown instead of black. I hope the camera is picking that up. Because when you first stamp it, it really looks really dark, but then it lightens up as it dries. But I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to add my inside of my card here. Again, I'm using my multi-purpose glue, but boy, you can use whatever you want. There's a little heart for love. Adding some love to the inside. There we go. Inside of my card. Now for the outside, I cut a panel. That inside panel, by the way, was, let's see, it is 4 by 5 1/4, and I cut 2 basic white panels. One I'm embossing, one's for the inside. So I embossed this one here using this cool embossing folder. It gives such great texture. I hope the camera is picking up the texture on this. It looks great with snowy scenes. And it's the Plaster Painting 3D Embossing folder from Stampin' Up. So very cool. So I embossed this panel using my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Then I'm just going to add some glue to it and glue it on the front. Now I use quite a bit in the middle of the panel here since it's so textured. And I'm just going to put it on the center of my card here. Give this a look. There we go. I love using glue instead of tape runner because I never get my panels on centered first try. I have to move them around a bit. So I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to give it a rub. Get that good and adhered on there. All right, so I have a couple more things here. I have a piece of early espresso here, and it is 1 inch by 5 1/4. Oh, it's 1 inch by 4 1/4. I'm going to add this to the front of my card. Glue it up real well. I'm going to center it over here on the left side. Give that a look, flip it over, give it a rub. That helps that glue that down on that textured piece. Then I have my main panel that I'm going to put on. So I'm going to add this on. I'm really happy with this little scene. That stamp set's fun to use. Okay, I'm going to center this up here on the left side. I mean on the right side. Oh, don't know my right from my left today. All right, and then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to give it a rub. I do that because that embossed panel is so textured. You want to make sure everything sticks to it well. Okay, so there is that. And then I thought it'd be cute if I just punched a 1 1/2 inch circle punch. You can use a circle punch. You can use any size you want to for your moon. You can use a die cut, whatever you have. The 1 1/2 inch circle punch Stampin' Up! Has retired. So I'm going to add this on, and when I add it on, I want to make sure that I don't go outside of that strip of brown there. And there we have it. There is our cute little scene. And it's all ready for you to mail out in the winter. So I hope some of you are out there just working away on your winter cards. I know some of you get to it way before I do. I'm just starting. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this card and that you give it a try. Take care. Toodles!